let's go on to WWE. Let's see.
Welcome
We
back.
get we got SmackDown this week. Immediately started with Nia Jax with her coronation ceremony, and this led to everyone in the SmackDown's women division beating up Bailey. Basically, I didn't hate this. I actually this is another one of those situations where I feel like they're giving them a lot of people to work with Bailey at this point, or a lot of people that could be possible contenders, even if it's not Nia Jax at SummerSlam, or giving Nia a lot more possible contenders or she's a contender for a lot more people. I think her versus Piper Niven would be a cool, larger woman match. I think that would be cool. I still think it's going to be Bailey at the end of the day, but at least this gives you a little bit of question on whether or not it's going to be something. Bailey hasn't been built up super huge since winning the title at Mania. She's had a couple of good matches here and there, but it's nothing. Again, the Naomi Tiffany Stratton match was good, but I feel like that was the biggest feud that we were going to see out of it, and then they pivoted a little bit, and now we're going with Nia. I feel like at the end of the day, Nia's going to win at SummerSlam.
I don't think you're wrong. I think that there is a really good chance that Nia takes this belt. I think they're setting her up for it. There's I don't know. There's not much more there. I like Bailey. You're right. They haven't built her like she's living on past accomplishments right now. Like that's how this whole storyline with her is set up. It's like everything she's done in the past makes her a legitimate threat. Nothing she's doing today makes her a legitimate threat, even though she pinned Naomi pretty cleanly at in France. So I think we'll see. I think they need Nia to be that monster right now. I think that you need that kind of brooding heel in one of these areas because most of their champions right now are faces outside of Liv. And she's mentally dangerous, not physically dangerous. It feels like she could beat you in a match. And I'm not trying to take away from that, but like her game is mental. The Liv Morgan.
She gets you off your game, and that's what makes it.
And then you got Sammy, you got Cody, you got Priest, who's like playing this middle ground, like where you don't know if he's face, you don't know if he's heel. Like he's starting to act a little more heelish this week. Next week he's gonna start more face-ish. The only real heel that they have out there that's champion is Logan Paul.
Logan Paul, at least as single champions,
and kind of not here.
Yeah. I mean, you got A-Town Down Under as heels, but
so fine. Add R-Truth, add The Miz, add Jade and Bianca, and fine. Then you get A-Town Down Under.
I mean, even if you had NXT champions, your NXT champions are all mostly faces at this point.
Yeah, so like this is like have her be imposing, have her set up because I think ultimately they want to turn Tiffany Stratton face, and that'll let you go Tiff versus Nia.
Versus Nia. I can see that. I hope they don't turn her face. I think she's the
crowd wants it. The people want it. Chris Jericho would turn her face.
Back on that. I already have my temper tantrum. I'm moving on. So it looks like they're setting either LA Knight and or Carmelo Hayes up for the US title. I actually like this segment. I like that LA Knight kind of called out everyone else involved in this segment for kind of not being 100% on their game. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone at this point had just had flights back from Saudi, from Jeddah. So, and they haven't exactly had an easy schedule as far as travel goes. They were in France the month before. They're all over the country, and then they're in Jeddah, and now they're back. I forget where I think this was actually in Albany too, which the crowd for this was awesome.
Yeah, the Albany WWE crowd fantastic. Those guys, I don't want heat with them. Those guys have been great. It's the TNA ones that I have heat with.
I'm just trying to trigger you at this point.
I
So
can't. These are the good people.
yeah. So I like LA Knight kind of calling out even Caleb Braxton. He was trying to get her to say yeah. Just just wasn't. You could tell she was kind of phoning it in that day. And I'm not bashing Caleb Braxton because I think she's awesome, but like she even admitted, she's like, look, anyone who's calling me out on this, I was in Jeddah 4 days before this. And then I was here. And before that, I was in France. And then I was here and here and here. She's like, everyone has an off segment. And this was my off segment. I like that she owned it. Carmelo, on the other hand, came in and used the wrong name, and LA Knight called him out on it. And I like that. That was a nice little sprinkle. I'm hoping that this leads to LA Knight getting the US title.
I think it will.
I really need him to get the US title in there.
I think
And
so. Right now, what it looks like to me is that they're using some of this NXT talent to put like the NXT call ups, like the rookies on the roster, whatever you want to call them, to put over other people. So they're kind of building them up to knock them down. Like Carmelo, like putting on a really good match with Cody. Like that made sense because they wanted to elevate him immediately to a spot where they can use him in other places to kind of put people over before they give him his really good big shot later on. So I expect LA Knight and him to kind of have like a number one contendership match for the US title. And then you'll have LA Knight versus Logan Paul. And I think it might be time to take the title off Logan Paul. He's just not around enough. And even when like Roman was kind of feeling a little part-time-ish, like he would still come in and do promos. He was around a lot more than Logan Paul is. So that's the way I kind of see that going down. But who knows? They can keep that U.S. title on Logan Paul for a while. I think. I think he's fantastic. So I don't mind him wearing the gold. I just want to see him do more.
I like Logan Paul. I do. I'm a fan of his work. My thing with it is I don't think that the US title will make him in this case with LA Knight, but I think having that US title would be a nice stepping stone to giving him a real push towards a world title. I know he had the push towards the world title with Roman, but realistically, we were all aware that no one was taking that title off of Roman except for maybe Cody. And if it wasn't Cody, no one had any idea how we were gonna get the
The,
title off Roman
the Rock.
or The Rock. Um, I don't hate the stuff that they're doing with the bloodline right now, or the quote unquote bloodline. I like the fact that we are all questioning whether or not Paul Heyman is in on it or not. It's one of those things that's the angle on this that I'm taking is Heyman in on it? Is he working with the bloodline? Is he actually scared for his life? Or is this all just Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman is the clear best part of the bloodline now. Like before, he was still a very good part of it, but he like he's all that keeps this together, in my opinion. They need to do something quickly. I think that the Gorillas of Destiny will end up being the next tag team champions. I think they're the ones that are going to take down A-Town Down Under, and I think that's going to be happening relatively soon. I don't know what relatively soon means, but I think that their God going over on the Street Profits was the beginning of their path to tag team gold. I think that they need that. Like they really need that. The bloodline needs gold in the situation. And they need to do something with Solo. Like Solo's still like playing kind of like the I don't know. Like I know his role is very different now and what he's doing, but like they need to get Heyman and Solo on the same page. So they can promote Solo up the card like you want him to. The Bloodlines kind of turned into a mid card act, and like it's nowhere near what it was when it was Roman and the Usos. Not that I
Exactly.
expect it to be at that echelon of the top of the card, but it feels like it's really
I
fallen,
mean,
in my
realistically,
opinion.
it's not even what it was. We're in June now. April was WrestleMania. 2.5 months, maybe. It's not even where it was in March, and
Mhm.
that's saying something. And obviously, you take away Roman Reigns and The Rock. Obviously, you're taking away a huge amount of star power, but they don't feel like they're still. They don't feel like they can beat up most of the locker room right now. Like if
I
Randy Orton was standing there by himself, I would still actually bet on Randy Orton kind of coming out of it on the better end.
listen. Explain something to me because this has been bugging me, and I haven't brought it up on the show yet. Is how is Solo not feuding with Cody right now? Like, isn't that the clear next step into all of this stuff? Like, Roman couldn't do it. I'm the head of the table now, or whatever backstage things that they're doing here. I'm gonna go get the job done that Roman couldn't do. And even if he loses or whatever, like it just seems like their beef was dropped when Cody won. It's like, Cody beat Roman. All right, he's untouchable now.
All right, I guess I got to go to the
What
back of
happened?
the line. You were running the show a
Yeah,
week before that. I
doesn't
agree
make
with
sense.
this.
Like
I
that's
thought
another
Solo
one.
was the clear cut initial title defense against Cody.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be him. I guess we're looking at something else, obviously, because
the what makes sense to me here is you're doing one of two things. You're saving Solo for later, which doesn't make sense, but I can see someone trying to tell me it makes sense. Or you're building to this bloodline versus bloodline feud over the Cody feud, which doesn't make sense to me. Sure, they took out Jimmy, they did their thing. Uh, Jay has no reason to ever team at this point in time with Roman.
no.
I can see him going back to his twin. That's a pretty easy jump for me, but not the Roman. Like he was always against Roman the whole time anyway. To
Well,
be honest with you,
and
except
what
for like the
is
few moments where he really got behind it.
at this point? What does Jimmy have to go back to him for? If you want to look at it, Jimmy got jumped on Roman's watch.
Yeah,
Realistically,
in his mind, he had jumped on Roman's orders.
yeah. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out. I think that's where my biggest interest is to see where they're going and who else they might bring in.
I don't know. I want to be fair to like all the hate we just dumped on AEW for storylines making sense. This storyline doesn't make sense to me right now.
Sure.
It seems directionless when the bloodline was your top storyline. Now all of a sudden it's got nowhere to. It's just idling until Roman and The Rock come back, and I think that's wrong, and I think that it's a waste of what could be some good stuff. That's why I want to see the
A
Heroes
waste
of
of
Destiny
talent,
get the tag team
of
titles,
really good
and I
talent.
wanted to get them now. Yeah, and like Solo should be messing people up week after week. Even if
And,
he's not going after Cody, he should be messing people up.
well, and if you have Solo, like, why isn't Solo going after the U.S. title at least? Like, you
Yeah.
want to say he's not the world champion, that's fine, but like, have him beat up everyone else. He took out John Cena.
Listen, Carmelo Hayes, you want to come on my show and challenge the world champion? That's cool. Now you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, and they jump
Like
him.
there's plenty of people you could put him in there and make and start building him up as a monster. They're just letting Solo get fancier clothes. Is that's all I'm saying. That's the only benefit
and
that this
and,
got
and the
so far.
glove and gloves. I don't know why he's wearing the gloves. I don't. You know that the Samoan spike is under there, so we're hiding what we already know. Again, if
I
we're
don't know.
gonna throw the
Doesn't make
shade, let's
sense.
throw the shade everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I want to be fair. You know me. I'm very much. I want both to have great products. This is a waste of what has been the best storyline on TV over the last 2 years, 3
2
years,
years,
whatever it is.
longer, last 4 years.
Yeah.
Well, going on from that, we have what apparently is going to be a much longer term feud than what we initially thought. And that's AJ Styles cut a
Yes.
promo, very Mark Henry esque, the Mark Henry salmon suit promo where
You
he
better,
lies about
you
retired.
better, you better watch out if I'm hanging around you wearing pastels, man.
Every time it's always in the
You
pastels,
are
man.
in trouble. It's
You are
always in
in
pastels.
trouble. So I'm gonna throw this shade out there. I'm tired of seeing Cody cry. I feel like he cries a lot, and I'm getting a little tired of it. He doesn't have anything to cry about anymore. He's the world heavyweight champion. I'm sorry,
He
the WWE undisputed champion. He doesn't have much to cry about anymore. He needs to stop crying.
he's in touch with his emotions, Steve. Don't Emotions are good. You should have more than one. And the one that you have can't be rage on AEW.
No, now it's rage on Cody. I I'm tired of seeing him cry. Although this AJ Styles promo was awesome. This is actually one of the best delivered AJ Styles segments I've seen as far as speaking goes, possibly ever.
This
I
should have been the way they set up the last one, the last match.
this was pretty close to perfect as far as what they did with it. I actually even liked, I don't know if anyone else noticed, because the question was what were the Good Brothers going to be doing during this whole thing while they were there, because they've kind of been at odds with AJ this whole time.
Mhm.
And when he turned and started beating the crap out of Cody, if you look, they're on the outside of the ring laughing and cheering about it, and I loved it. I
They're
loved it.
straight up belly laughing.
They are. And
Like,
it's
it's great.
great. It was amazing. That is the best part about this. This was, you know what? I will say everything else on the show on SmackDown last week was kind of mid at best. This was good. This was damn near great.
How about this, Steven? You ready for this?
Oh, he's right. Bring it. Let's hear
Cody drops the belt to AJ at Clash at the Castle
it. Ooh,
and wins it back at SummerSlam,
I see that.
where you have an actual, best of 3 match with the two of them. Cody won, AJ won, Cody wins. If they can keep bringing these matches to the next level each time they're in the ring with each other, you have a huge blow off match at SummerSlam between the
And
two of
this
them.
is and it's a good way for AJ Styles to kind of tip his hat and go away.
Yep, right into the sunset. Great last title run for him. You don't really tarnish Cody too much because it's AJ.
Well, it's AJ, and you have AJ win via shenanigans. You don't need major shenanigans. You have like slight shenanigans, or you do shenanigans before the match ever happens. You do something where the Good Brothers jumped Cody or something like that and really injure his leg, and
You got
he
two
puts
bald
the
monsters that can help you with this.
yeah, and you have them do, I don't know. You have, again, I'm going with the leg because you have them do the calf cutter on him, or the calf crusher rather, and while he's doing it, Cody passes out. You didn't tarnish anything, but he's clearly not the champ anymore. And then you have Cody win cleanly at SummerSlam, which is the bigger show.
Mhm.
And then AJ gets, probably a few more months where you look at him a certain way. And if he wasn't already a surefire Hall of Famer, he is a surefire Hall of Famer, by the way.
And then you set the precedent of all this, like, I don't believe Cody can lose because Cody just lost. And
Yeah,
now all these
you've
matches
changed
that come
everything.
out afterwards, I don't know. LA Knight's going up against Cody. I wonder if he can take him down. There's a, like, it really does open the door quite a bit that, like, Cody's not quite as untouchable, because that, I mean, I think I've mentioned this before on the show. you built Roman into such an unstoppable monster that you had to build up Cody for 2 years to be able to take him down. And now no one seems believable because he took down Roman when no one could take down Roman. So who is the person that's going to be a realistic competitor for it? You have AJ go over on it. That changes the entire tone of his title of Cody's title reign. Sure, he can win it back, but doesn't mean he's not going to lose it.
I like that. I would run with that. That sounds great. Actually, sounds right, if you will.
Because I'm always right.
For me, it's actually
Am I always pointing at the wrong spot on the
You're
screen?
always pointing to your left, which is where it is on your screen. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's different.
I never had the heart to tell you. I'm sorry, man.
Man, oh man, look a fool here. Good thing this is a podcast and not really a YouTube channel. But we're on YouTube. Like and subscribe.
That's right. We are on YouTube, and you can see Mike point to the wrong side of the screen every time.
Not anymore.
All right, so that was SmackDown. Again, most of the show, meh. AJ Cody stuff, really cool. Moving on to Raw, opens up with the immediate Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Rhea Ripley love triangle, possibly what Showtime is going to bring up in a second. More than a triangle, a square, a diamond, if you will. A ring. It'll be a love ring, a wrestling ring.
I don't think it's an actual shape. It's like there's just branches. It's a tree, not a learning tree, but
a love tree, a tree of love,
a love tree,
a blooming tree of love. Love. It brings love. Break its legs. We said this last week, and I said it to you while we were off the air. I wasn't on board with Liv, and the more this develops, I'm becoming a little bit more on board with Liv Morgan. I'm changing my tune.
I really liked actually how much focus the Judgment Day got in this episode of Raw. It was like their day of Raw. They were all
their
over
Judgment
the place. Day? Yeah, it wasn't their Judgment Day because they didn't have to pay for anything. They actually looked pretty good throughout it, but there was a lot of Judgment Day in this, and I had really been kind of not liking the direction that they were going. They were turning into a job squad. JD McDonough always loses. Dom always loses. Finn was starting to always lose. And he got a win in this match. There's other things that we'll talk about. I think no, I'll just talk about it now. You have Priest going over Rey Mysterio at the end of the night. Braun Strowman kind of coming in and being a thorn in their side where they finally got one up on him. And they just decimated him with chairs. He got hit like 15 times with chairs by multiple people. And the addition of Liv Morgan to this story, I think, is good. But because it all felt like one cohesive story. I think that's what helped Liv. Because without Becky, without Rhea, who's Liv feuding with?
Nobody.
Nobody.
And so this was kind of my thing before she went out on injury. Rhea wasn't up until the last couple months leading into Mania. There was a while where Rhea wasn't feuding with anybody. She was there and she was dominant and she would have matches, but she was more integral to the bloodline part of things and Dom being
Judgment
out
Day.
there. I'm sorry, Judgment Day. Excuse me. That's why my name's not right. But she was more integral to that than she was to her own storyline until, honestly, about January or so when she started having the thing about Mania stuff. And you knew, and again, don't get me wrong, I think Rhea is still the best at the very least, the best women's wrestler on the planet. I'm saying at the very least, she might be the best. She might be the biggest superstar wrestler on the planet right now. There's a few who you can make the argument for: Cody, Roman, some of them, but it's Rhea. I don't think Liv needs to have a feud necessarily. She just needs to be in a good storyline, make it believable, make me believe that she's a psychotic little minx, which comes off perfectly. I think these were some of the best the best uh promo packages that she's done, as or best promo segments as far as speaking and stuff goes, because I actually kind of bought it. It flowed better than what she normally does. This is the best Liv Morgan work I've seen.
Lee, did you see that Liv Morgan went back and liked like 5 years worth of posts from Dominic Mysterio on, I think, Instagram?
That's amazing.
Uh, it was like, that's putting in the time. And I don't know, of those who are listening, a lot of wrestling stuff happens on the social medias, on the X's of the world, on the Instagrams, and if you're not like tapped into that side of things, that's not surprising. But they do bring. I mean, they even have a speed champion that's exclusively on X at this point in time. So a lot of wrestling news and kind of banter happens in the social media world. And the fact that you went through that and liked 5 years or whatever the amount of time was a post was diabolical. It was great.
That's amazing. I did not know that, and now I'm so happy that I do.
The other
Again,
thing,
I'm high on this.
yeah, do you want me to ruin the storyline for you?
You ruin everything for me.
It's because I'm always right. Uh, here's everyone thinks that Dom and Liv are going to double cross Rhea. That seems like they've been in cahoots. They've been cavoodling or whatever the word is, canoodling behind the stage, leaving little hints. There's other little hints that I think that are being overlooked, and I think that they showed their hand quite a bit in this Raw. I don't think that it's going to be Liv and Dom that double crosses the bloodline. I think it's going to be Liv and Finn.
Judgment Day.
Yeah, thank you. That was your fault. The Judgment Day. I think that it's going to be Finn and Liv that mess all this stuff up. I say that because there was one spot where I think Liv traveled to the show and got out of Finn's car a couple weeks back. That little nugget, no one uh, really hung on all that much. Where when you looked at every little bit that Liv and Dom walked out of the same hallway, it seemed like that they were married. But also in this episode of Raw, every time Liv got too close, Finn was in the way. And a couple weeks back, they kind of teased the demon stuff in the background. I think that Finn is incredibly upset that Priest left him behind. That they were a dominant tag team. They lost the titles in a ridiculous match. 12 people in the same match going after four title belts. And they never got a rematch. They have Finn going out with JD McDonough to fight for these matches with these titles, which is nowhere close to having Priest as your partner. And he even said, "I wish it was us out there." I feel like he's gonna come back and be like, "You abandoned me, dude. You left me to the side to do your own thing, and now I'm doing my own thing." And he and Liv will maybe start their own faction of the Judgment Day, or something along those lines. I'm not quite sure exactly what the end game is here, but I think you're going to see this is going to be what the fracture is. Probably Liv just being like, "I was just using you, dude, the whole time. Like this was just my revenge toward you. Were just a tool." And then maybe he goes full demon and just goes nuts, and maybe we get vintage Finn, which I know you'd really appreciate, because I think that he's being completely wasted right now.
I fully think he's been fully wasted.
So there you go.
I
Ruin the storyline for you guys. Sorry. You can check back here later. Find out that I was right.
when this happens, remember it was said here first. Uh, moving on from that, we got a match between Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. I thought this was a good match. I think this is a nice kind of mid card little storyline that they got going on, a little angle they got going here. I think this is a good way to build up Kaiser outside of just being Gunther's, bag boy,
Ring announcer.
bag boy, driver, chauffeur, whatever he is. He's kind of proven that he's not just the old theory that he's Gunther's Alfred, He's the new Alfred. He's the Alfred in the new movies where you find out that he's got military training and stuff like that. You find he's actually putting on good matches and either winning or at least coming close to winning and making it seem believable now. And he's I think you were saying it before, he's bigger than we thought he was.
Yeah, I always thought he was a lot smaller than he is. The other day, I saw him standing next to Gunther. And when he was standing next to him, I was like, man, those guys are almost the same height. Gunther has like 50 pounds on him. And then I saw him stand next to Sheamus, and I was like, man, they are very similar in height. Now, I think he might be slightly shorter than both those guys. And I haven't looked at the numbers, but he's just super lean. He's just tall and lean.
He's still probably sitting in that 6'1", 6'2" range. You're not the tiniest dude in the world. And honestly, he's probably in a good spot where if they can build this up, realistically, if they build him up the right way, he's a good contender against Sammy for the IC title. He's
6'3".
Okay. Or build at 6'3". So he's probably sitting in that 6'2", 6'3" mark. But I mean, that's the thing. He's not a small dude.
6'4".
And I think Sheamus is 6'4" or 6'5".
He's 6'3".
Is he? So they're probably all they're all sitting in that same area. They're not small dudes by any means. And they're all.
Everyone was like 6'7". When I was
Sheamus
the small
was
guy?
like 6'7".
Yeah, right. I just assumed that.
I think it's just because he's so broad. I like this match. I like what they're doing with Ludwig Kaiser. I like everything all around about this. There's a couple things over the course of this match and later on the women's tag team title match. I'll bring it up a little bit more that I don't like in any match, but it's not their match is specific. It's when it happens in any match I don't like it. And it's a little bit more prominent in the women's tag team title match later on. So I'll bring it up when we talk about that. But all around, I don't
love that. I feel like Sheamus is getting jobbed out by everybody. He comes back from 11 billion neck surgeries to just lose to everybody. I mean, come on.
I think they're going to do a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. Like if they have a real match with him and Kaiser at Clash at the Castle, he wins that. I could see that. Like they're going to give him the win on the big stage, maybe. Especially he's not hometown, but he's just a little, little north at that point.
Sure. North.
Sure. It's not the same thing whatsoever, but it's kind of the same thing in our stupid American minds.
Yeah. What's geography? That's the same country.
It's the UK. It's all just the UK, right? That's how that works.
Depends on what part of Ireland he's from.
That's true. So we are getting a lot more of this Ricochet, Ilya Dragunov, Braun Breaker angle. This was a cool match in the sense that we really got to see some of Braun Breaker's athleticism. We've been talking about this. I'm wondering if this is even this match alone. This match might actually have been Ricochet's swan song. I hate to tell everybody this, but if he's not re-signing the contract or he's not renewing a contract with WWE, I wouldn't be surprised if they just take him off television for the next couple weeks and this is more of a build for Dragunov versus Braun Breaker, which also is kind of more of the match I want to see.
They still need to take the speed title off of him somehow, which might be the fact that he's going to just be a mummy of rock tape uh, in a moment, because like I feel like one week he has one side, the next week he's got the other side.
Now he's got
As
both.
you move on, yeah. I dig this. I dug this match. Breaker. I want to see him wrestle too. Like, please, 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 do not turn him into Goldberg. I do
No,
not
but I
need a Goldberg.
no, and I feel like this match started it with him not being Goldberg. Like he was dominant, but he was much more athletic than I'm saying that I know Goldberg was a great athlete, but he did a
Mhm.
lot more athletic stuff than you would see Goldberg do. He did the run up into the Frankensteiner. I like I almost would like him to stop using the spear
Please,
and
please stop using this. He's just so fast. He has such a cool spear. As much as I don't want to see the spear anymore, I get why he does it.
you know what it is I think that Ricochet actually I didn't like the way Ricochet took the spear this one. Honestly,
He
the
took the
move
Frankensteiner fantastic.
he took the Frankensteiner fantastic, and you know what move I wouldn't mind seeing uh Braun start using as a finisher at this point. I'm not gonna use our name for it, but if he started calling it if he started doing the Steiner line, I'd be okay
Uh,
with it.
I thought you were going to say the Steiner recliner, which I just love the name.
If he was gonna do the Steiner recliner, actually he was doing the Steiner recliner for a bit in NXT.
Mhm.
But if I think he did the Steiner screwdriver in NXT too. He was doing a lot of power moves like that. But the way he hit Ricochet with that lariat, yeah, lariat, guys, it's the name of the show.
It's a lariat.
Um, the way he hit that, I would have been fine if they pinned him after that, especially if you're building up how fast he is. And he hit the ropes twice and hit him with that thing. The
He
only
was
other way
running at 28 miles an hour or whatever
it's
crazy
like
speeds he was
26 and
hitting.
change or something like that. Yeah, it's some
Yeah.
insane number. But your father was the inventor of the Steiner line. It's literally a clothesline that was hard enough. And his was a clothesline because it was the Steiner line. When you hit somebody hard enough
Still
that
lariat.
it's still Larry. It's a little crowbar. He hit him with a Steiner line though. And so I believe if you listen to old interviews from even like Luger and Ron Simmons and some of these legitimate beefy tough guys, they're like, no, that it was rough. It was rough to take. It was like taking the Doomsday device from Hawk and Animal type of thing, where like sometimes you left with bruises on your chest because of the Steiner line. I think, and
I just want to see him. I want to see him wrestle a little bit more.
I'd like
That's
to.
what I'm looking for.
I need to see him in there with someone who is. Again, I could see him getting in there with Sheamus or Kaiser or something like that. Or I I don't want to see him in there with Gunther yet.
I think the Dragunov
I think
match that
Dragunov
they're
is going to
ultimately
be
building
a
toward
nice
is going to be
stepping
great.
stone to something else.
Yeah.
And I think you can have Braun Breaker win at the end of it, like kind of come out on top without ruining Dragunov.
Mhm.
I'm gonna skip that one. So we get Sami Zayn confronting the Alpha Academy. This led to Otis kind of snapping for a moment. I'm kind of thinking this might all end with Otis being on the side of Chad Gable. The only reason why I could say that it won't is everyone's so high on, like, everyone cheered when Otis looked like he was gonna fight Gable. It's the only reason why I could see them not going that route, but it seems like the storyline is set up to actually almost have Otis kind of go all in with them.
If he goes heel, those cheers are going to turn around so quickly. The So I could see them going that route. I don't think they're going to.
I
Like,
don't think they
Otis
are
is so
either.
lovable, so easy for him to stay face and like really go. And that's what brings in the Creed brothers. because
I
he
that's
because
that's the
Chad
thing
was
is I
talking
could
to
see
the
the
Creed
Creed
brothers
brothers.
again.
I don't think that they're ready. I don't think Triple H and the WWE and creative is ready to go against the grain that much already. I
Mhm.
think if you give them if this was another year into Triple H really running things and seeing and having him have a chance to kind of dip his toes into that water of going against the grain, I could see it happening then. But I think right now he's doing a good job of keeping the fans happy, and I think keeping Otis babyface keeps the fans happy right now. Um, Other than that, this is still just more building of this storyline. I don't hate it. I actually really like this storyline. I think Gable is kind of. I'd like to see Gable maybe get the IC title out of this whole thing, just so that it's not just whatever we're getting out of it. But we'll see where this is really kind of heading the more we go into this.
Did you see Maxine's jacket? I know it's the least important part of this whole storyline, but I absolutely loved it.
I mean,
She
I
was
looked.
wearing that gold like bomber jacket, and it had Gable going down from top to bottom. And I'm having a hard time reading what every word was, but it was like giving aggressive beatings something something. It was like I tried to watch it 3 times last night. I just looked up a picture of it. Let me see if I can find another one of them. But it was awesome. I thought it was really funny, and I don't know. Like, it looks like that you've seen it before, but I thought it was funny, and it was really good. A spot while she's sitting there coming down on behalf of Chad and having that jacket on was cool.
I like that. I like the little things that they're doing here, like here and there about it, and I like that Chad Gable's kind of a delusional nut job in the whole thing. Like he
Yeah,
really
it's great.
thinks that everyone is doing this stuff for him, and I
Hmm.
mean, if they're it'd be even better if at the end again, if they're gonna do it, have all of them go all in on this, and have it be that they are all in on this.
Yeah, the I find it hard. I think they're going to end up going on their own way. I don't know what they'll do without Chad though. Like they're not really set up. I think Maxine might be set up for a decent amount of stuff after this. But I worry about the other two of just getting lost in the shuffle. So we'll kind of see what happens next on that front. But I do. I think this is a great storyline. It's like I want to see Otis just level Chad. We might get that Clash of the Castle this time because we're gonna go through the same motions. Like that's the thing that gets me. If you can make it a little bit new each week, then I'm in. But we're going just through the same motions week after week after week.
Which, if we're gonna knock WWE for doing something, that's WWE has a formula. That's the thing
Sure.
is they run the same type of formulas all the time. It's again your biggest gripe in the world. Every WWE match starts 2 minutes commercial.
More
It's
commercials.
it's literally
Like I've
there.
been seeing 2 commercials a match now. They're cutting off the beginning. They cut off the beginning of the Sheamus Ludwig match. Cut off the beginning of that match. He gets jumped on the walk. Sheamus gets jumped on the way in. We're not sure if he's going to be able to compete. The bell has already rung, and they're circling each other by the time they get into the match. And then there's another commercial in the middle. Come on, guys, you know how to do commercials. Like in live sports, there's ways to do commercials at a drop of the dime. On top of that, this you know what's going to happen. Come on, just figure it out. Don't mess up my matches.
Uh, all right, moving on to the women's tag team title match. I actually liked this match. I thought it was good. It was fun. I figured there was going to be something where, at the very least, Bianca and Jade were definitely not going to lose it in this scenario. I didn't think they were going to lose out on Raw. If anything else, if this had been set up more for Clash at the Castle, maybe. And this way they could have had a few more weeks and maybe have done something where they told a story where Jade and Bianca maybe weren't completely on the same page, but it seems like they are very much on the same page. And I will say this match was fine. This was one of the better matches I've seen Jade put on. This is I there was a little bit where in the beginning of the match you could see they were missing something. They were trying to go a certain way with it, and it felt like Bianca and Shayna were doing a good job of what they wanted to do, and then they like slipped off of each other, and we were off to the races in a different route. I actually liked the fact that they were able to kind of pivot a little bit and change up how they were working the match because of that. The thing I did not like about this match, and I realize I'm nitpicking at this point, but it's something that happens in a lot of matches, happens on indies, it happens all the time. I don't like the corner 10 punches. It goes back to I was going to talk about it during Sheamus. I don't like I realize the beats of the Bowery is his thing. There's a lot of these matches where and in this match they did it even more so. If you do 10 punches in the corner and the ref is supposed to be counting to 5, you should be disqualified. And again, if I'm going to get on AEW about not following rules, I'm going to throw the shade everywhere else too. This wasn't just a matter of she did the normal 10 count in the corner. Bianca hit her 15 times. They counted to 15. How were the crowd able to get to 15 before the ref was able to get to 5? You want to say 10, you want to say okay for she's able to throw 2 punches for every 1,000 that you get out. I'll go along with that. You didn't get 3 punches out in between each second. And it was one of those where little things like that are going to be where I'm gonna nitpick things. And again, overall, I thought the match was good. Things like that, I don't like it in any match. I don't like I in my own career, I stopped doing the 10 count in the corner if I didn't have to. If it wasn't such a polarizing move that I needed to do it right then and there, I didn't do it because I didn't like the way it looked and I didn't like the idea. It's like doing a double arm wringer. If you twist someone's arm around twice and their arm's still in their socket, it's not real. It's not believable.
You do.
You're doing it wrong. Um, all around though, I like it. I like the setup with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I like that they came out and kind of interjected themselves, especially since if you're going to give them a match at Clash at the Castle, I think it's going to turn into a 3-way between all 3 teams that were involved. I think it was good. I liked the match. I thought it was good overall. I think Jade is progressing nicely. With that said, she's still the weakest link in this chain right now.
The adding the extra 2 women to this match is the only way that you can make it believable that Jade and Bianca might lose. So I think that's what they're doing for Clash of the Castle, getting people from that area into the match. It goes a long way as well. The problem with it is no one's going to beat Jade and Bianca anytime soon.
No, I think if anything, it's going to be someone hits or if it's whatever other team might win in this scenario, they're beating the team that's not Jade and Bianca if they're doing this. With that said, I also kind of miss elimination 3-way matches. Gives you a little bit more finality in the match.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like it's been a really long time since I've seen. ECW used to do them all the time. When they would call them the 3-way dances, and the 3-way dances were elimination style. And if you did something where all 4 women beat up on Jade and Bianca and eliminated them that way, then they don't look weak either because it took 4 women to beat up 1 or 2 of them. And I think
you only really need to do is take one of them out, right?
Exactly.
You take one of them out, and then it's 4-on-1. and you have one take another one down, and then the team working together falls apart because they're not actually on the same team, and mayhem ensues, and they can retain that way. But that's a more entertaining match. I'm with you.
Um, we are before I get into Money in the Bank. I want to bring up the carrying across Xavier Wood storyline. This keeps going. I'm liking this. Authors of Pain beat the New Day, and it was a lot. I love this Devil's Advocate thing that they've got going with carrying across. Um, I even love his cheesy mustache that he's got going on. His dirty stash. I'll tell it to him to his face. I love the stash. I didn't think I was gonna like him with kind of longer hair, as long as he's getting it, but it works with this all around. I'm really digging this, and we've said this. This is a good way for him to get reestablished into maybe one of the either upper mid card areas or like a mid card title, an IC title or a US title or something like that. So I really like what they're doing with that.
Before you go on to the next thing, I just have to go back to the Live Dom thing real fast. Mostly just to talk about Dom and his nuclear heat. I've again never have seen anybody so over than Dom. He can't even talk.
Yeah.
It is so funny that they boo him so hard that he can't even get a word out. It's amazing. So sorry, I
Let
just
me get my
would have
point
hated myself in
across.
the morning if I didn't.
No.
It's like, please let me, please let me just say something.
He was literally
You want to
just
hear
begging
this?
for it.
I know you want to hear it.
All right. So we're starting to see some entrance to the Money in the Bank matches. The first one Jay or was the first one Lyra? I forget.
I'm not. I think it was Jay.
Jay. I think it's Jay, and then it was Lyra. So they seem to be the first two uh picks into it. I know you and I both wanted to go over real quick who we thought were going to be in the matches and who we think is going to win it. Obviously, it's too early to make any real picks until we know who's actually in the match.
So let's have some fun.
So let's have let's have some fun. We're here. Showtime. I'm going to let you go first with this one. It's always a problem
Me.
when I do this, but
Here. Let's do this. I'll say one person first,
okay.
and it won't be Jay Uso. I won't do that one. All right. So I put in for both of the men's and the women's, I have 4 people from Raw, 3 people from SmackDown. I know you said earlier you have from Raw, you have 4 people from Raw, 3 people from SmackDown for the men, and then
4 from
3 women
SmackDown and 3
from
from yep.
yeah. So that's just neither of us know who the other one's going to say at this point in time. I'm just going to say one person because let's see if Steven has the person that I'm talking about. So the first one that I'm going to throw out there is I'm going to say Drew McIntyre because I feel like that's
I have Drew McIntyre on there.
that's out there. Yeah. So so that was my first one that's going to add to this, and I'll get into why I think he's available for this later on. Go ahead, Steven, for the men's. Who do you have?
For the men's, I'm you know what? I'm gonna go over to my SmackDown side of things, and
Cool.
I'm gonna throw in Andrade.
Oh, I don't have Andrade. Interesting. Very
I
cool.
think he'd be an interesting pick into the men's Money in the Bank, and they seem like they're trying to build him up to something.
Yeah, I can see that. I have for SmackDown, I have an if the non-US title holder, either LA Knight or Logan Paul. I don't
So
think they put one of them in there if they have the title, if they have the US title. I know they've done it in the past. I just think there's a lot of people in here that they could do. So I think it's one or the other.
I have in there I have it as Logan Paul. So
Okay.
we're in agreement on that one.
We're in this because I do think that LA Knight probably takes the title from Logan Paul, and then Logan Paul's in this match. So,
All right.
so that's the same.
So, to obviously we're discounting Jey Uso out of this whole thing. This is an iffy one for me, but I think Dragunov is gonna get in there.
Huh. Interesting.
And I think it's on the back of I think it's on the back of what they're doing with him right now. Because I have someone else in there.
I have the exact opposite thing as Braun Breaker.
So I also have Braun Breaker.
How in the world do you have Money in the Bank and Braun not in it when he's complaining about not being in King of the Ring? Like it's actually kind of funny to me him not going in there and just let Pierce be just a turd, be like, yeah, you don't deserve to be in the Money in the Bank. You've been a whiny baby this entire time for not being in King of the Ring. Why would I put you in here? But I have him in here. I have Braun in here.
So I have Braun in here as well, but that's why I have Ilya as well. I think this is going to further what they're doing with each other. Because I don't see a world where either one of them win it, but I could see this being they're the two that they're not involved in the finish because they have to brawl on the outside for some unknown reason.
So your Raw entrants are Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Braun Breaker, and Ilya Dragunov.
Yep.
I said that right. Yeah.
Yep. So I actually only have one more person that I haven't said.
Yeah, so because you have Andrade and LA Knight and
Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. All right, I'll give you my last Raw one here. R-Truth. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's gonna be Finn Balor.
Okay.
You add Finn to this because you had Damian Priest holding that briefcase all last year, and you build the animosity a little bit. There could be an interesting little storyline if Finn is in the Money in the Bank. I'm not saying that's who I have winning, but if he's in this match, of like Damian be like, so like if you win, like who are you going to challenge? And you never really get a straight answer out of him on that one. So I have Finn. I want R-Truth to be in it because he's joked around so much about being in these matches, but I have Finn there. So I have two more left. So I guess I'll go again.
Yeah, do your other SmackDown.
My last one. My next SmackDown one is the returning, being clear from injury. I don't know how injured he is, so like maybe this is a bit off. But Bobby Lashley returning for Money in the Bank.
I can see that.
I think they like to put him in these matches. He never wins them, but they like putting him in these kind of matches.
All right, so you want to go put your because I gave you first go. Solo. I think Solo goes in. I think you need to have him in this match now, right? Like the more we were talking about how he's not, right? Like he has to be involved in it. He wasn't in King of the Ring, and he's not and especially after you found out that King of the Ring was gonna get a title match. Like I feel like you have to put Solo in this.
What are we doing here? If Solo's not in this, like why are we even here? So we were pretty close. We only had two differences in this whole thing. So we both had Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, Solo. You had Andrade and Dragunov. I have Finn Balor and Lashley. I swear we didn't talk about this ahead of time. I even said before, this was the last minute thing that we put together to say, let's just say it live on the air.
Actually, the truth of the matter is whether it's the two that I have in there or the two that you have in there, I actually wouldn't be mad about that match just in general.
No, me either. I think it could be really cool. Who do you got winning?
Drew. That's Drew. The thing that we agree on. Drew. I think you're right. I think this is a situation where you got to keep the hypocrite Drew McIntyre being the hypocrite Drew McIntyre. The only other person I could see winning Jay Uso. If it's not, if Drew
Oh
McIntyre is
no,
somehow not in this match, it's Jey Uso.
I disagree. Because main event Jey Uso can never win the
Actually,
main
main
event.
event.
Yeah, well, he can the main event. He's just gonna be the loser in it. I actually, if Drew doesn't win this, I think Braun can end up walking out of this. Solo can walk out of this, or Logan will walk out of this. And
I think
because
out of those three, it should be Solo.
it
I could
should
see
be.
I could see Solo walking out of it and Solo cashing in and losing. And that
I
really
can see that. I
and
can
that
see
really puts a
Logan
rift
winning
in the
this.
old bloodline with the new bloodline type situation. Like you couldn't even cash in right. All right.
I can see
So
Logan winning this and cashing in and making everybody angry.
so angry. All right. So we've got our men's in. Obviously we know Lyra Valkyria is in. I'm gonna go
Lyra.
first with the women. From SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton.
There's
I got
no
you. I'm
way
right there
she's
with you,
not in
bud.
this match with the amount of cool stuff that she's been doing. All right.
Yep, I think that's perfect. I'll throw. I think this is going to be a little bit more different than the men's one. I have a sneaking suspicion. So we got Lyra, we got Tiffany. I have Tiffany as well. The next one I got is Io. I feel like
I
Io
got
has to be
Io.
in this match.
I got Io.
You went layup, so I went layup. I assume that you had that one. I want to get that one out of the way.
All right. Who am I gonna go? All right, I'm gonna go SmackDown again. I'm gonna
Okay.
go Candice. I'm gonna go Candice LeRae.
Candice LeRae. I didn't think you were going to have her. I have her as well.
All right. Who do you got now?
What do you want? You want Raw or SmackDown?
You have 2 more Raws than I do, so give me Raw.
2 more. I have 1 more Raw than you.
Or 1 more Raw than me, but I only have 1 Raw left, so you have 2 more Raws left, right?
Correct.
So give me Raw.
I'm going to give you, I hope I say this name right, Kiana James.
Kiana James. I don't have her.
You had her debut.
And beat Natty.
In an okay match. And I could see them building her up to be in this match as well.
I could see it. I don't have her in this one. I think it's too short of a time span to throw her in just yet. It's the only reason why I don't have her in there. But I could definitely see them still doing it. All right.
You had Lyra go to the finals of Queen of the Ring.
Lyra
in her debut.
Lyra, at least they're still banking on people knowing about NXT to know that she was the NXT champion. It's really where they're going with the life.
Just saying, like it being too soon, I don't think is a good reason. That's
all right. So you want my last Raw, or you want one of my last 2 SmackDowns?
Give me a SmackDown.
I'm going to go with my surprise one on this one. Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green. I have I have an if thing. Again, sorry, I never fully make up my mind. I like Chelsea Green. I wanted to put Chelsea Green alone on this right here, but I have her or Piper Niven. Okay. I don't think it's going to be both of them, but I would much prefer Chelsea. I can't tell you how impressed I am with Chelsea. Can we take a second about that so I can gush over her for a minute? Because with what little screen time she has, she absolutely kills it every single time. It's some of the most memorable stuff. She goes out there and has some pretty decent matches. Her at that Battle Royal was fantastic. And I just don't think she gets enough attention. So I want her to be the one in this match, but I could also see it being Piper. So like I figure it's not going to be both of them. So I kind of gave a little slash on that.
So I think it's going to be Chelsea because
our list.
I think it's going to be Chelsea just because I think Piper is still going to be going after Bayley for the title at this point.
So our lists are identical.
Maybe. Who's your next? I already
No, I
know at
only got
least
one
one of
left.
these is gonna have it.
I only have one left. I said mine last time, right? So you only have one left too, right?
No, I have two left
Oh, then
because
you
I
go.
have one Raw and I have one SmackDown left.
You go then.
All right, I'm gonna give you the other layup then. Naomi.
You know what? I didn't have Naomi on here. I did not have Naomi on here. Hmm.
All right. So who's your last one then?
I did not have Naomi on here. That's a miss on my part. Um, Maxine Dupree.
Okay, I don't have Maxine.
I like having Maxime Dupree come out here with all the stuff that's going on with Gable. I could see him pulling strings to make sure she's a part of this match. If the Alpha Academy doesn't fall apart by this point in time, with the way that they're stringing it out, I'm sure it'll still be a thing. I could see her coming in here, and I could see her having a fantastic showing. I don't like. We'll get to who I think is going to win this, but I could see her really go in here and really crushing it.
I feel like we're gonna have the same winner, but still. Actually, we might not.
Here.
So my last pick goes along with the fact that we've got Lyra in there who is a technician and can fly and can do a bunch of cool stuff. Tiffany, who can do a bunch of cool stuff. Io, who can do a bunch of cool stuff. Naomi, who can do a bunch of cool stuff. If we're gonna keep along that line, I'm going with Zelina Vega.
You know, I almost had her on this list.
Especially since they showed her last night, or on this week's Raw. Sorry, we recorded on Tuesday, so it was last night.
Yep.
On the she was very prominent in the stuff with Ray and Dragon Lee and stuff like that. So I don't think she's winning, but I could see her being in there because she does a lot of stuff where her and Io Sky and her and Tiffany and Lyra and even Naomi and Candice could probably fly around. Honestly, the only one who doesn't fly through the air at this point out of my picks is Chelsea Green.
Yeah, I almost had her over Kiana James. I was going back and forth on that, but I just feel like they want to like
That
showcase some of this new talent.
that was my pick over Kiana James was Zelina.
Yeah.
All right.
And in all honesty, I would probably take Candice LeRae out of mine and put Naomi in there because I missed that one. That's on me.
All right. So who do you got winning?
Who do you got winning? I mean, I say you said it for last, right? I got it's clearly there's only one answer here. It's Tiffy time.
It is Tiffy time. So we have the same winners. Awesome.
They're the same winners.
It kind of doesn't matter about the rest of the people that we're picking because.
But this is fun. I want to see how wrong we are, how right we are. I have my little post-it note here that I wrote all this stuff down on. I'm going to put it.
I was going to say,
right
I have it right here as well. We can always go back and.
We'll go back, see how right and wrong we were. I hope they prove me wrong and put our truth in here, but that's not here nor there.
All right, and this is the first time we've had this situation, but hey guys,
mail, motherfucker.
So not the first time we've had mail, but
Hey.
this is the first time we have several questions, and we're actually going to cover them.
I can't tell you how happy I am with the number of people who sent in questions, the number of questions we got here. A few duplicates, but it was awesome. Thank you so much. You guys helped make the show better. So really wanted to thank you before we got to these questions because I love talking about these questions. Like we really haven't thought about how we're going to respond to some of these. So go ahead, Steven. Let's start with the first question.
To go with what you were saying, I say it all the time. We are the Legion of the Lariat, and it's, it started off as something to call ourselves, obviously, but honestly, the amount of activity on our Facebook pages and Instagram feeds and things like that, guys, seriously, thank you so much. I know we're not seeing much on the email action, but the fact that I can post something earlier in the day for questions for today, and we got 5 questions in basically an hour.
It was more too, because we just didn't put them in here because we were covering it in the show.
Exactly. So, I mean, we got more questions than we're even covering. It's just the fact that we are we had already covered them in other segments. So the first question, this is from my boy iMain. Are you optimistic for Uncle Howdy faction? I am optimistic for it. I would like to see what they are going to do with this faction, who they are going to target, if everything that we are saying is going to be correct about who's involved in it. We all have our theories on who's going to be in it and who they said is going to be in it, but I would very much like to see who is going to truly be in it, who they're going after. Showtime, what are you thinking about Uncle Howdy?
I want Alexa Bliss to return with this. Like, that would really bring this thing full circle for me as one of these people coming, one of these people within the faction. And I do also kind of hope it's only 5 people. Because like they're calling it the Wyatt Six or however you want to put it, where you keep that special spot for Bray. I think that's a really meaningful kind of what do you call it? It's a really meaningful gesture. With that said, I'm pretty pumped about this whole thing. I think it'll come out really well. They're doing a really good long tease. They're doing a tease that's different than what anyone else would do right now. I am curious who they're going to feud with. I don't really know how they fit into the dynamic of these rosters. I don't know which roster they're going to show up on. I don't know if they're going to be rosterless or like where they're just kind of going wherever they want to.
I wouldn't mind them being homeless type of thing. Like they just go. Great. They go everywhere, and it would be cool if they even went to NXT and started just causing. Maybe they don't feud with anybody, and they just go around causing some chaos.
The first place they show up, TNA Impact. Never see it coming.
Never see it coming. And the door's open.
The door's open now. No, but I'm pretty pumped for it. And like, this is not one of those situations where I'm like, they didn't give me enough information. I like the information that we have. I like the eerie tease, and I'm really excited on whose day they're going to ruin. We'll see how this goes. I think they're going to make a big impact. I think it's going to be a really big storyline with storylines that we have no idea what's coming. So,
well, and you've been saying you want some mysticism, some magic in pro wrestling. This is going to be that.
I like that kind of stuff when it's done correctly, where it's sprinkled in here and there. I think this will go a really long way with answering that kind of missing piece in WWE right now.
Well, between missing Bray and not having the Undertaker in there, like you need something.
Need something, like just something to kind of like keep you on your toes. Never know what they're gonna do, because I feel like a lot of the stuff, particularly recently with WWE, it's very predictable. I think our last couple PLE predictions, they've been like, I don't know if I've missed one since Mania, and with them, because it's pretty.
And the ones I've missed have been just because I needed to do something different than what you were saying, basically.
Yeah, and so in this situation, I can see them doing things that shake the apple cart a little bit. It's similar to my like having Cody lose to AJ Styles. Now you don't know what's going to happen, and they need a little bit more of that. So that's probably what I'm most excited for the Howdy faction, for what I can't even guess right now.
So we go from that. We have a second question from iMain. Is AEW ready to take the next step as a company and get some decent storylines going so that it can add into the great in-ring stuff? We kind of cover this a little bit before. It feels like they're trying, but they also, again, growing pains. I'm going to keep saying it. They're just not where they should be for a 4-year-old, 4.5, 5-year-old company at this point. I think they should be further along with storylines.
If we're going to answer the question directly, is AEW ready to take the next step as a company and get some decent storylines? Yes. The answer is an emphatic yes.
Yes, they're ready for it.
And they're touch and go right now. What I really think they need is they need like a really solid head writer. And I don't know who that person's supposed to be right now. It feels like it's Tony Khan. They just need someone to go in there and break down what they have. Like put everything on the table. Where are we going with some of these people? Let's have certain conversations or certain storylines hit these beats. Like the Monet storyline with her getting jumped is a perfect example that we talked about earlier today, right? Where she got jumped. Wow, that's big news. Let's see what happens next.
And
And then
then
nothing happens next.
yeah,
And
we
then
never speak about it
after
again.
the Willow, yeah, until after the actual reason she got jumped is gone. Now I'm going to bring it out. It's just have somebody for her to fight next on this episode. So like things like that shouldn't be happening. It should have been something. Monet should have been jumped 3 or 4 times. Maybe have Willow jump twice, and like now you're really guessing who's going on. So like I think that's the stuff that they really need right now. They need a really strong head writer. They also might just need an adult in the room. So either way,
that kind of goes along with me saying them not having like Arn Anderson there. I think is a big thing, especially with the amount of time that Arn spent with guys like Oli. I think he would have been a great him and like the Jerry Lynn's and the Dean Malenkos of the world just sitting there and directing traffic a little bit better. But again, you also need people to listen to it. So are they ready for it as a company? Yes, the company is absolutely ready to do it. Are they able to do it? We have to find out.
Yeah, I think their biggest flaw is not the right word, but the biggest thing holding them back, or whatever you want to call it, is they want to be the national indie. And one of the things with an indie show is you need to be able to tell a complete story in one night. Because I'm going to go somewhere else, and no one here is going to be the same people there. And the difference is you have an audience that comes back to watch your product week in, week out, 3 times a week. And that's kind of what I think is holding them back, because they want to put on these bell-to-bell matches, these amazing matches that I want to put the best match of the night on, just like the indies, just like how they all grew up, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with the indies. We were both on the indies and we both loved our time there. But I think that's the kind of mentality that you can't change that belief of what I want. And until they turn that corner, I think they're going to be held back with trying to do in the moment storylines rather than long term ones that really pay off.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit on what you just said. So I'm not disagreeing with what you said. I'm saying it the other. I'm coming from the other end of the road. Basically, we both spend our time on the indies. They want to be the national indie. Here's the problem with that. How many times did you and I spend time on a show and something happened on the indie and we said, dear God, what if these people got money and put this on a national product? Because it just, dear God, how many times it's, and I'm not saying it's every indie show, but it happened as much as it didn't happen type of thing. Like I remember watching an indie show where I wasn't even on the show. I was there just helping out, or I was talking to people. I was there it was local. So I went to say hi to people, and over the course of one of the matches, me and another wrestler were completely lost in what story they were telling us. And this was a kid-friendly show, so this storyline has to be for children. Here's my thing. How are the kids going to understand it when we were 2 grown men who are in the business who didn't understand what you were doing? So it falls under that category. Sometimes you have to talk to the audience like they're 10-year-olds, and that's when they're grown adults. I don't know. I think some of the stuff with AEW, again, are they ready as a company to do it? Yes. Are they able to do it? I don't know. Showtime, because this is going to be your favorite question. I'm going to let you take the third question down, because you can see the show doc.
From
the dude.
From Dougie Fresh.
From Dougie Fresh.
Could you be any more handsome?
I mean, I'm working on it. It's the real reason for the beard anymore. It's like the push up bra for men.
For you, there's definitely room to grow. But
I'm
just
ugly,
putting
but
it
I
out
wear
there.
it well. I could wear it
Do
better
you?
though.
Do
I
you
could
know?
wear it better.
I'm very comfortable with my looks. Thank you, Doug. You're a sweetheart. We love you.
All right. Next question. This one comes from my good friend Hilly Hill. Does Drew really take the championship at Clash at the Castle? I think we're
Big
universally saying
negative.
no. I
It's
think
big negative.
I think they make more money off of him not being champion and feuding with CM Punk. I think you and I are in complete agreement with that one. And also, if
you're gonna see CM Punk come out of nowhere, come from the crowd, come from under the ring, do the thing, and he's gonna interfere in the match. He's gonna distract Drew long enough to get him to lose to Damian, because you definitely make more money and you have a better card at SummerSlam with Gunther versus Damian Priest, because they need the title for that to be a really, really interesting SummerSlam-esque match. And then you have CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, because they do not need the title.
and CM Punk screws over the cash in for Drew.
What do you mean?
So I wouldn't be surprised if according to our theory, Drew is going to win Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if CM Punk and Drew go out there, they have their match. I feel like CM Punk returning is going to have to beat Drew. You need that big pop. I also don't think that this is going to be a one-off match. And I think that Drew is going to try to cash in on whoever the champion is at the end of the show. And I think CM Punk is going to ruin it. He's either going to stop him from cashing in, or he's going to be the reason why Drew loses in the cash in.
So
maybe not on that show, but at some point over the course of this feud, Drew's gonna go in and they're gonna do something.
I disagree. Particularly if Drew loses to CM Punk, which I don't think he loses to him at SummerSlam at this moment in time. If this match happens, I think Drew wins that match. Though at the same time, if he does lose that match and he does cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase, there's no way he loses twice in the same night. There's absolutely no way. At the same time, I think that they blow off their feud and Drew cashes in his title. This is him getting his title and getting a lengthy title run. Like, this is the title run that he's been looking for in front of people, being champion. I don't know which title he cashes in on. I don't like. I mean, he cashes in on Raw. To be honest with you, like that's. But because when it comes to Mania, you're gonna get all the Cody, the Rock, Roman, all that stuff's gonna come back for Mania, and I think you'll see
all the Vegas pageantry.
Yeah, and then you'll get. I think you'll end up getting Drew cashing in on Gunther. Maybe that same night after Gunther beats Damian Priest, and then you get a nice little feud between against Drew versus Gunther.
All right. So our last question then, also from Hilly Hill. Do we get the Rhea versus Liv custody for Dom match? According to you, this isn't going to be the thing anyway. So your answer is obviously no on this.
Well, no. My answer is yes.
Oh, you think you think we're gonna get it, and Finn's gonna come out and kind of screw up the whole thing,
mess things up? Yeah, but if we don't get Rhea versus Liv custody of Dom ladder match part 2, why are we even here?
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing any of this?
Here is where I will go with it. Should we get this match? Yes. Should this be the blow off to the whole thing? Kinda. Yeah. Here is where I'm going with it. It all depends on how long Rhea Ripley is on the shelf for.
Mhm.
If Rhea is there are talks that this could be a very lengthy time away. If she's gone for 9 months, like 9 full months, we're not getting it because I don't see them. Uh, this is too long of a storytelling for this particular story. And
Mhm.
if it's longer than that, if it's longer than 9 months, if it's anywhere from 9 months to a year and a half, nope, we're not getting this. If it's within the next couple months, if we could see Rhea back by SummerSlam, we'll see Rhea versus Liv by Survivor Series in a custody match for Dom. But that's where I'm going with this. Are you looking up
Yeah,
how
I'm
long?
headline. Yeah, I'm headline hunting right now, and something just said like positive news around this, but it doesn't actually say. It doesn't give me any information that I actually want to say when I can flip through. We'll be back to you guys with news on Rhea. I haven't heard anything on Rhea at all, which is really frustrating. And we all know, those that listen normally, I am not happy with how they're handling Rhea out of the ring and her
You're
not being back here already. Like,
you're
how's she
you're
not
you're
on
unhappy
TV? Like,
with what they're doing?
the fact, like Dom's been in this sling and never left TV. Why can't Rhea be an on-screen personality? It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand. I don't understand why she had to drop the title if it was only going to be 3 months, but I think it's going to be longer than that, which is fine.
I mean, we're
If it's going
already
to be an
at
extended period,
we're kind of close to that 3 month mark now. It happened like the week after Mania.
yeah. But at the same time, if um if SummerSlam's the date, I think we do that. And honestly, like I think that if we have the custody of Dom ladder match, I don't think it's a title match. So that means somewhere along the lines, Liv has to lose this title to somebody.
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I think it's still going to be. I don't know who she'd lose it to, and I could see that maybe being a cash in.
Could be.
But guys, folks, people in the radio, Spotify, YouTube, interwebs world, that is our show for this week. Please, 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 as we said, keep following us, keep giving us questions. Over on Instagram, we're at still.a.lariat. On X, Twitter, which whatever you want to call it, it's at still a Lariat PC. My personal handle is at stevezapf. That's ZAPF. I know Showtime is at Michael Wright. That's WRYGHT. All that information will be in our descriptions along with our varying emails and things like that. Also, will be in our descriptions, will be the stuff for Tap Cancer and our varying friends of the show. Folks, thank you for listening. Again, follow, listen, love. Thank you so much. Showtime, got anything you want to add before we go home?
Thank you all. We appreciate you more than you know.
Have a good night, everybody.